Welcome back, Shalligators. Today we're going to talk about someone we don't really get to talk about because she's never really out and about. Blake Lively. If you guys are a Gossip Girl stan as I am, you guys know my history with Gossip Girl. I used to write for them a little bit, like whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about. It's really not that interesting, but Blake Lively is. So if you love her the way I do, I think you're going to like this video because yeah, like I said, she's never out and about, and she was at the Super Bowl. And I know the Super Bowl was like, in celebrity terms, like 500 years ago or something, but Blake recently posted some pictures from the event. And on Instagram, she said something that I feel like no one else is talking about, but we're gonna talk about it. She said this was the first time she had left her kids. Which leads me to ask just one question. What the fuck? Are you serious? I guess that's two questions, but I'm sorry. What the fuck and are you serious are questions that I feel like need to be asked, because if you think, oh, this is a mom shaming video, no, it's actually the opposite. I am encouraging moms to do things. I would even encourage them to be doing things that other people would be considering shameful. I love it. Blake, we're gonna talk, okay? We love you, girl. We're gonna talk. Also about those pants you were wearing. Didn't love those. But before we get started, I wanna give you a dispatch. It's been a while from the Nadine News Network. So my mom will send like positive things to me because she knows I will not listen to the news because it's so doom and gloom. You know, you get the amount of news that you need. Like, I know what's going on in the world. It's just literally such a hellscape. So she will send me like good positive things. I'm like, okay, I'll pass it on to my girls and everything. And she was telling me about the misery index. Do you know what this is? So the misery index factors in unemployment and cost of living. And so the higher the index, the worse things are. That means there's a high cost of living and there's high unemployment. So the lower the misery index, the better the economy is doing overall. And the misery index is at its lowest since the pandemic. So I think that's really good because I don't know. I see these things on Instagram. Recession is coming. Rah! Start growing turnips. Like people are just, it's terroristic. So this kind of helped me calm it down a little bit. So I just wanted to pass that on to you guys. Let's talk Blake Lively. I need to read to you her Instagram caption. And like I said, we don't really hear a lot from Blake Lively at all because she lives, I think, in like upstate New York with Ryan Reynolds, her smoke show, The Husband, and hopefully, well, I assume all they do is like the sex because they've got a lot of kids. They've got 4 kids. Not a lot is known about the kids, are really private, but they've got 4 daughters. James, who's 9, Inez, 7, Betty, who's 4, these names, and they had another daughter, their 4th daughter, about basically a year ago. So February 2023. So 9 to 1. Those are the age ranges, okay? So Blake posted some photos on Instagram from her Super Bowl look and her Super Bowl trip. And she said, last week I left my kids for the first time ever and I wore pants that were shoes. She wore some Balmain pants, shoes things. I took pictures upside down and had no clue. I treated a friendship bracelet like a flat Stanley for my husband, like I didn't realize it wasn't '07. I have no idea what that sentence means. I treated a friendship bracelet like a flat Stanley for my husband, like a flat Stanley for my husband, like I didn't realize it wasn't 2007. I don't get any of that. I've never felt more like a boomer. I borrowed more jewelry than the skeleton in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I went clubbing. Now I know what my episode of The Twilight Zone would look like. That's really cute. She's like, I'm like breaking out. And so she famously went to the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift. And I was kind of hoping she would post like, you know, some insidery things. I don't love this outfit. It's like an Adidas Balmain pants shoe. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I'm just glad she's out and about. Oh, by the way, speaking of wearing things, do you guys like this necklace? Look at this. My friend Julie makes these out of like vintage coins. And then she puts them on these chains. I am obsessed with it. I just got it, so I know I look maybe a little bit like a rapper. I need to style it better. I'm thinking like a white V-neck shirt with layered gold necklaces. Do you know what I mean? Very like casual rich bitch. Because I just always want to look like a rich bitch, and very rarely a casual one. Usually a fancy, high maintenance, absolutely dragon-like rich bitch. But back to Blake. Oh, I'll put the link down below for these. You can buy them on Instagram. They're under $100. These things are like, you can get them in Florence and they're like $1,300. I'm not even kidding you. It's crazy. Last week, I left my kids for the first time ever. Is she serious? She can't be serious. That can't be serious. She sounded serious because she led with it and she said ever. And I don't believe Blake Lively lies. I don't believe she does. I've met her before many times and she is so lovely. The whole cast of Gossip Girl honestly is. They're all great. And I have like, Chase Crawford is breathtaking. And I don't describe many men as breathtaking. He is. He literally, I was like I gasped when I saw him in real life. We had a fun time at a Super Bowl once. We did Irish car bombs together. It's a drink. Don't cancel me because it's like not an appropriate name. I didn't fucking name the drink, okay? I don't know what else to call him. Anyway, I don't believe Blake lies. She's a lovely person. I'm sorry, my mind is just blown that she's had kids for 9 years, 10 if you count pregnancy, which I do, because yikes. And she's never left them. Why not? Listen, you guys know I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I don't like kids. Motherhood seems unfathomably difficult. Unfathomably difficult. I watch my friends with kids and I'm like, holy shit. I can't believe this many children have survived to adulthood. Children are nightmarish. Do you know that children don't have empathy? That it's extremely rare for a child under the age of 5 to have any empathy? So they're just these little tyrants, these little terrorists, taking. Let's not forget they've blown your vag out and chewed your nipples off. So there's that. Do you know one of my friends who has kids, one of her feet is a different size? She has 2 different size feet from pregnancy. She has to buy 2 pairs of shoes every time she buys shoes. And she's like, it's worth it. It's not, Sarah. I'm telling you right now, it's not. You know that I know it's not. That's good if she thinks it is. So there are these little terrorists who have no empathy and all they do is take. I don't know how moms do this. I don't know how. And I read things like this from Blake where she's like, I've never left them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Let me be clear here. Mom guilt, which is the way moms feel, I'm not doing good enough, I should be doing better, I can't leave my kids. As someone very much on the outside looking in, the concept of mom guilt to women without kids is fucking crazy. Like, it's crazy. You guys would guilt yourself for like what? It's not like you're putting your kids in a cage. And I mean, to be honest, I could maybe get it sometime. I could get it. But you're not doing that. You're like, what? Hold on. Let me check some notes here. What is it you feel guilty about? Going to Barnes & Noble and getting a coffee and reading a magazine for 45 minutes? You feel guilty for doing that. You should not. Let me tell you that on behalf of all the delightfully child-free women out there, we believe you guys should be feeling zero guilt ever, ever, ever. You're just warriors. I don't know. I won't lie to you. I have absolutely no idea why you guys do it. I really don't. It makes no sense to me. It's worth it. I get love. You don't know what love is. I do know what love is. Thank you. I don't know what maybe that particular brand of love is, but I know what love is. I've never in my life, and God, I don't think I know what love is. And that's honestly an extremely insulting thing to say to somebody, that because they're not walking your path, they don't know, they can't even relate to the feeling. Like they don't really exist as a person. Okay. This is just a side note. If you're going to come for us child-free women in the comments, maybe you guys don't know what happiness is because you don't seem happy, or you seem like you're constantly gaslighting yourself into happiness. I know what happiness is. I'm happy all the time. I mean, unless I'm heartbroken or I'm bored, but I'm the master of my fortune. I can do whatever. And in fact, I was going to go to Barnes & Noble after this and get a coffee and read a magazine. And it's like the highlight of my day. And not a goddamn person's going to make me feel guilty about it. So listen, borrow a little bit of that attitude from me, because I am a bit of a narcissist, bit of a sociopath, and I am one of the happiest people that I know because of that, because I don't feel guilt. I never have. I feel empathy less than most people, but I don't feel guilt. And I think because of that, and if you're in the Shallontrage, we talk about this a lot. Like, I will give you step-by-step ways to reduce guilt, and I'll tell you what they are here. I am happy because I don't feel guilt. And that means my life gets to belong to me. It gets to belong to me. And it also means I maybe shouldn't be a mom, because that guilt thing really seems to be a huge issue for y'all. And again, like, girl, it doesn't need to be. You are doing great. You're doing great. You are. Your kids are alive, aren't they? Are they slowly dying of scurvy? Okay, well, mine might be. If I had them, I'd be like, no, I won't roll an orange in your direction, Braxton. I'm not going to do that. I can't vouch for what kind of parent I would be, but I can say that you're doing just fine. You know, if your kids are like reasonably kind, even though we said they don't have empathy, but if they're like not complete shits, if they understand table manners at an appropriate age, if they don't hurt animals, if they care about recycling, they're fine. You're doing great. Go read your magazine. Go to the fucking Super Bowl. It breaks my heart that Blake has never left her kids. And listen, you're probably saying she doesn't have to leave her kids. She probably gets to bring them everywhere. True. I look at it kind of from the opposite direction. It's like she's got so much help at her fingertips if she wants it. I don't know if she has nannies. I would assume so. I would hope so. Why not? Have 10. Why not? Then do the fun part of parenting. Don't do the I want to watch Frozen. Don't put up with that part. Just be there for the snuggles and the dance recitals and the dressing them up. And will that lead to a lot of therapy down the line? I don't fucking know. But you'll keep your wits about you. Yeah, you owe things to your kids. You owe things to you. I was put on this earth to be a mom. Okay, well, maybe part of being a good mom is being good to yourself. You should not have mom guilt. And I was talking to my own mom about this. I'm like, is this a thing? Because my mom left me all the time. She was a flight attendant when I was young. And I turned out, moving on. I turned out how I turned out. And I'm like, did you always feel guilty? She's like, every minute of every day. I'm like, why? Well, first of all, like, let's get into it, Dr. Freud. I was like, then why didn't you pick a different job? Because it kind of did fuck me up. She's like, I just loved it. And I knew I had to be the best version of myself if I was going to be a great mom. And she was an amazing mom when she was there. She was an amazing mom when she was there. And I respect that. Now, especially as an adult, I respect it immensely. Because at the time I thought, you know, I have a mom who's not around all the time. And you know, when you're a kid, time is a flat circle, because my mom has been over and over this with me. She's like, I was not gone as much as you think I was. And I'm like, I was 5, you know, like, I don't know what time is. I was like a dog. I was like a large dog, right? Dogs don't understand anything. I didn't understand how elevators worked. I was like, it's a whole new world. But now that I'm older, I realize she gave me an amazing example of identity and boundaries and being a woman and what that means and why it's like, listen, you have to make yourself happy, because if you ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If mom ain't happy, forget about it for the rest of the family. And so in that, I really value that that's how she lived her life, because she lived her truth. And therefore, that makes me able to live mine. I'm not going to lie, part of that is perhaps a little spite-based, that I'm like, no, I'm not going to live where you live if I don't want to, because you made yourself happy as an adult and I'm going to make myself happy. And that might not look the way the rest of my family thinks it should. Oh, well. That is the downside. You know, it's like, well, I don't remember getting a vote in these situations when I was a kid. Okay. I don't remember everyone kowtowing to me. I'm sure they did. So it's like, all right, I'm going to grow up and not kowtow to anyone else too. Thank you for setting that example for me. So moms, if you're like, I can't leave my kids, first of all, you could be actually doing them a disservice. You could be teaching them that you as a woman have no identity outside of them. If you're especially raising little boys, is that really what you want them to think about women? Hey, women are just there for them. They are the masters of the universe. They're the main character in the story of all of creation. And women are there just like Sims, waiting to blow, waiting to cook, waiting to pick things up. Is that what you want to raise and loose into the world? I got news for you. I'll probably be dating your sons or his friends when I'm like 1,000 years old. I don't want to date that. I don't want to date that at all. Okay? I'll wait another 20 years, see what he turns out like. How about that? And here's another reason that you should go and like have your own identity and live somewhat reasonably your own life. It's something called rupture and repair. Almost any psychologist will tell you about this. It's you rupture something, you know, oh no, this is a scary thing. Mommy's getting in the car and she's going away. But then she comes back. That creates resiliency because it shows them life doesn't end and things actually turn out fine and you can trust that mommy's going to come home. It's okay. Also, can I just say, this is my own personal like hill to die on. I think it is so detrimental when moms refer to themselves in the third person to their kids. Mommy said to put that down. There was none of that motherfucking third person stuff in my house. It was, I said put it down. I said it. There's no cutesy folksy term between you, the child, the perpetrator, and me, the creature who's getting mad at you. They're one and the same. We're going to remove that little nickname middleman. I'm mad at you. Okay? I need to go out. I am on the phone. Mommy's on the phone. Mommy's on the phone. Because in life, people are not going to approach your child in a third party. Waitress wants your order. Boss wants you to finish that project. It's, what's your order? Finish the project. You are doing them, I believe, this is just, again, my hill to die on. I believe you're doing them a disservice because you're, again, making them feel like they're this main character in this play and everyone else in the world is simply a character around them. Rough landing. Real rough landing. You know? I don't think you want to see what kind of fruit that bears. Let's get back to this mom guilt thing. I do have to wonder. What's up with Ryan Reynolds? I have heard in the gossip around town that the reason him and Scarlett Johansson, remember them? And remember him and Alanis Morissette? The reason him and Scarlett never worked out is he wanted her basically barefoot and pregnant. She's like, no, I'm like the biggest actress in the world. I'm going to kind of keep following this and pull on this thread. And Blake was like, yeah, I want to stay home and be domestic. And listen, different strokes for different folks, you know, no shade to the women who want to stay home, but I would gouge my fucking eyes out. I don't know. That's just, God bless the women who are out there doing that. It's so not my vibe. And I'm a pretty domestic person. I mean, I live in rural Montana, you know, but then it's like, I got to go get my wiggles out and go do things. And I wonder, gosh, well, has Ryan, can he say he's never left the kids? Maybe. And maybe they just travel as this family unit everywhere together. And if someone's on a movie set, they're all together. And that's cool. That's really cool. But if it isn't, because listen, that's not most families' situation. That might be theirs because they're wealthy enough to afford to do that. And they can pick their projects that are in alternating times. Most people, it's like, well, I'm going to work Monday, Tuesday. You're going to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's not how households work. It's everyone's working every day, you know? So we don't have that luxury. I have just never heard of the term dad guilt. I've just never heard that term. Have you guys heard it? Yeah, no, me neither. You know what I have heard? The men who say that they're babysitting their own children, right? I can't imagine how hard it is to be a parent, nor can I imagine how hard it is to be a parent when you have a shit ass partner. My mom kind of did it right. She did it alone because in her mind, it was better to just know that you don't have help that's pulling up for you rather than constantly thinking you do and being constantly disappointed. You know, that's a terrible feeling. You want to know where the edge of the box is. And your child wants to know that too. Like that's important for your child to know. Now, like maybe daddy will pick you up from school. Maybe not. I don't know. Versus like, no, we're going to have to like hire this out. Like you can solve these things that come up. I just feel so bad for women who are in that situation. And I look at so many of my friends and that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly their situation. And it's like, It's easy for me to say this, of course, from the outside, but it does seem like it'd be easier on their own. But maybe not. I don't know. Motherhood is a son of a bitch, man. It is tough. It is tough without a lot of money. And even then, still seems pretty tough. And that's why, like, this idea of mom guilt, I'm like, what? And my mom was explaining it to me, and I'm like, why would you? Because she's like, it wasn't just about me flying and being gone. Like, you just never know if you're doing it right. You just kind of don't know. You think you are, and it like feels right, but then you're like, oh my God, what if I'm giving them this complex? And what if this one thing I said, they're going to remember 10 years from now in therapy, I did. How do you like ever feel confident in yourself as a mom? And therefore those doubts creep in. And then of course you're going to feel guilty when you go to Barnes and Noble and have your magazine latte time, because it's like, oh, when I'm home, I'm fucking them up, and I'm not even home. I'm out here being a dick and just like living for myself. Let us go back to that. Let's go back to that. As I said, bit of a sociopath, bit of a narcissist, whole lot of happy. Guilt is not a useful emotion. It's not. It's not useful for you, that is. That's the caveat. It is incredibly useful for everyone around you if you feel guilt. Incredibly useful. Because when you feel guilty, you get real small. If we had to draw the posture of guilt, it's curled in on some. I'm sorry. You are very, very easy to manipulate. Very easy to manipulate. And it's one of those things that you can press on pretty easily and get a great result. Like if you're a toxic predator and you know that someone is prone to feeling guilty, you have to do the least for them to jump the highest. Oh, you can't take me to the airport at 4:30 in the morning? No, that's fine. I just felt like Ubers are really dangerous because like literally who are these people? But I'm sure I'll be okay. No, I'm okay. Suddenly they're up at 3:30 in the morning ready to drive you. Guilt works for everyone but us. How do you benefit from guilt? How do you benefit from guilt? I'm a pretty analytical person. Yeah, I'm an emotional person, but I'm pretty analytical also. And it's like, that's kind of where I reached with guilt. It's like, this is not serving me. And the more I feel this, the worse my life gets. And I literally decided never to feel it again. And I think I was like 5 when I made this decision. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. I wasn't prone to feeling it anyway. And I could always very easily see when people were trying to give me a guilt trip. And I'd be like, so it's going to be like that. And that, boy, oh boy, they picked the wrong fight, because then I would become a bully. I would become a bully because I really did not appreciate being manipulated. And I'm talking about like when I was a child. I could feel it and I could see it. And it's like, you're appealing to emotions I don't have. And now I can see what you're actually after. You're actually after compliance. You're just trying to get me to do what you want. And listen, that's how people operate towards kids in general. Like you have to get them compliant to make them a productive member of society in a lot of ways. But the older I got, the more clearly I could see when people are trying to run this game on me, and the faster I could see it. And now I can see it a fucking mile away. And I'm just like, you dumb bitch. This is such a mistake. This is such a mistake. No. I had a friend the other day who does not believe I belong in Montana. She thinks she's the little queen bee of this town. Okay. First of all, she's not even the queen bee of this town. She's not the queen bee of anything, let alone like this little town that, I'm sorry, nobody cares about. I love it here, but it's not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not Miami, it's not London. Like, give me a fucking break. And she's not even that. She's delusional. And she was like, you need to start volunteering, Shallon. You need to start giving back to your community. And I was like, there it is. Okay. Not for a second did I take that bait. Not for a second. I said, I don't need to earn my way into this town. Okay. I don't need to prove myself and give of myself to prove that I belong here. I just get to be here. And I get to be wherever the fuck I want. Okay? She was like, if I volunteer, it's because I want to, not because I'm like paying penance to the Bozeman gods. Oh, please love me. Please accept me. I do volunteer because I like it, but not because like, well, like, I feel bad for being here and I need to like supplicate myself. You picked the wrong person. Wow. Don't run that fucking game on me. And if you start to look for it, guilt is a tool that is being used on you all over the place. Oh, you can't stay late? Well, it's Braxton's recital tonight. And, I really wanted to go, but I guess you just won't stay late. No, Beth, I won't. Sorry, I have a life of my own and you should have put in for that time off. So he'll have another recital or he won't. You know why? Because he's bad at the clarinet. So get over it. But the reason the guilt works, it's twofold. We fundamentally agree that we're not worthy. And when someone is like, you're not worthy, we're like, oh my God, right? I know, I'm not. Thank you for validating that. We like, it's like this sick massage. We're like, yeah, oh, fuck yeah, guilt daddy. We like it. It's validating because what are we? We are a risk machine. We are a risk machine. We want to feel like we can predict an outcome. We want to feel like we got a good bead on things. And if we feel fundamentally unworthy of self-care, of time, of identity, of following our thoughts and our dreams and living an authentic life, if we fundamentally feel, no, we actually don't have a right to that, someone comes along and is like, hey, you don't have a right to that. And we're like, oh, I know. We feel kind of good about that because we have accurately predicted something. And the risk machine is like, nice. The heart machine is like, okay. Our soul machine is like, God, this again. But the risk machine, chuffed, perfectly chuffed. So that's one way guilt works. And the way we become desensitized to those guilt trips is to live a life where our motto is, no one belongs here more than you. No one belongs in Barnes & Noble sipping that latte more than you. No one belongs in that boardroom, that secret club in Mayfair, London, in this wedding chapel. Like, no one belongs here more than you. You belong. And I'm telling you, people like me with my personality disorders, oh, we know we belong. We're VIP. Oh, you don't think I am? That's weird. It just rolls right off us. That's why when my friend's like, you need to volunteer, AKA to earn your place here. I was like, no, I don't. No, I belong here. No one belongs here more than me. No one belongs anywhere more than me. You can belong here too. We can all belong here. I don't care. It's not only me, but I definitely belong here. Thank you. So nice for playing. So the more you can build your self-esteem, you don't have to develop a personality disorder if you don't want to. It's a lot of fun though. If you can develop your self-esteem, you will learn to combat that guilt. How do you develop self-esteem? You do esteemable things. Hold on though, hold on. You might be saying, okay, raising kids is esteemable. There is a difference. There's an overlap, but there's also a difference between esteemable things and martyrdom. Yes, raising kids is an esteemable endeavor. Volunteering and it's an esteemable endeavor. But when it comes at the cost of your own self, it becomes martyrdom. And that is the opposite of self-esteem. That's the opposite of self-esteem. That's a victim narrative. And victims become bullies and they get their own personality disorder, which is a nightmare. They're just awful to be around. So you got to learn when to rein it in. I'm gonna do these esteemable things, but not to my own detriment. I'm not gonna pour from an empty cup. I'm not gonna go into like an energetic bankruptcy. I'm not gonna be overdrawn in terms of, energy or literally in terms of money. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give what's appropriate. And then I'm gonna move on to the next esteemable thing. And the people who wanna keep taking from me, those aren't my friends at all. Those aren't my friends. So that's how you build that worthiness. And that's how you learn to combat the guilt trips. The other way you learn to combat the guilt trips, Say this with me. Have you tried going and fucking yourself? Try it. So let's say it. Have you tried shutting the fuck up? You tried shutting the fuck up? Have you tried that? You make friends with the worst case scenario. Okay, you don't drive your friend to the airport. And what happens? Does the world end? Do they get kidnapped and chopped up by an Uber driver? I don't know, maybe. Probably not. And if they do, you can deal with that later, with a Catholic priest or whatever your God is. Probably not. They'll probably be fine. Odds are. What if you're just like, oh, I can't do that. Ooh, thanks for trying to make me feel guilty, but I actually don't want to do that. We talked about this very thing in the Shallon. I did a whole video on being a people pleaser and how to break out of it. And it's basically this. It's like, make friends with the monster under the bed. Walk towards the apocalypse. What happens if you're like, no, I'm leaving the kids for 2 days. You'll be fine. Then fucking feed them Cheerios for dinner, Dylan. I don't know. Everyone will survive. Everyone will survive. Bathe them out back with the hose and the dog. They're fine. I'm going to the Super Bowl. Try it. My mom has a phrase that I go back to all the time because I don't like people being mad at me. Not a lot of people do. And she's like, either they'll get over it or they won't. Either they'll get over it or they won't. And it's like brilliant. Either they'll survive or they won't. I don't know, I just kind of got to live my life because I might only have to deal with their disappointment in me a little bit. I will have to deal with the disappointment in myself 24 hours a day. And you might be thinking, yeah, but in this moment, if I disappoint someone, that will loom so large within me. It'll be worse than me being disappointed in myself. That I can put on a shelf. You can for now. I'll give you that. You can put it on the shelf for now. But one day, that shelf is going to get real shaky because it's stacked full of little jars of resentment, little jars of breaching your boundaries, and boom, it's going to come crashing down. And you know what it's going to look like? Martyrdom. Well, guess you guys just didn't want to invite me. It's going to look like drinking, pills, shopping, cheating, passive aggression, snotty little remarks, weight gain, frenemies. The psyche will be hurt. And what's actually inside all of those jars is self-loathing. That is the only possible byproduct when we put people chronically ahead of ourselves. I don't mean every once in a while or in a healthy way. You're like, hey, I'd die for my kid. I mean, you are chronically giving everything to other people, but not to yourself. We literally talked about this last time with the J-Lo video and how she had her little inner child who was like, you loved everyone but me. And she's like, I'm sorry. You could turn out like that, where you're addicted to love. But it's going to come out. You cannot suppress it for long. And self-loathing will manifest itself as self-destruction because that's what you do when you hate something. You destroy it. And it just so happens that thing you're trying to destroy is yourself. Wow. When you look at it that way, is it really better than if your friend is like, oh, well, fucking thanks for not driving me to the airport? Be like, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I can't add another jar to this shelf. Okay, I can't keep adding to this. Sorry. And I learned that. I learned that the hard way because, life, especially as women, it pulls you into the place of guilt and you should pull up for everyone else and everyone comes before you. And like I said, that's not in my nature to be like that. And so even a little bit of that behavior and a few of those jars, I was like, whoa, this is awful. This is awful. My shelf got full real fast and it cracked almost immediately. Thank God. Thank God. And when people are like, ooh, a narcissist, ooh, a sociopath. Hey, honey, I have cracking shelves way ahead of yours, and that's actually healthier. That's healthier. And again, now that you say things like that to me, I see you're actually only interested in my compliance. If you're interested in me truly being the healthiest, happiest version of myself, you'd be like, I love a shelf that cracks day one, jar one. Don't even look at that shelf. It's coming down. That's what I want for you guys. I want you to have the shortest fucking fuse in the world. I want guilt to be something that you are allergic to. Allergic to. Don't get that near me. Don't get that near me. I'm allergic to that. I'll swell up. I'll get hives. I want that to be an untenable thing that people bring to you. No. Get that away from me. Some people are fine with that. I'm not fine with it. What would happen if you lived your life like that? What would you teach your children? Who would you help them become? Because look, if you can't pull up for yourself, okay, I get that this is a tall order, like I honestly do. Could you do this? Could you like fake it? Fake casting off the guilt, fake having your identity, fake carving out time for yourself. I mean, you're doing it, but you're like faking it till you make it for your kids. Can you be like, listen, I feel terrible here at Barnes & Noble, but I understand in this roundabout way, this genius, this ageless YouTuber, Shallon Lester taught me. Her eyebrows never look stupid. Shallon Lester taught me that in a roundabout way, this is actually going to make my kids turn out better because they're going to have a strong, independent person modeled for them. And that's what I want them to become. I'm not raising kids. I'm raising adults. And this is also going to be better for them because of rupture and repair. They're going to see that mom can be gone for 45 minutes. Life doesn't end. They're fine. Eat your fucking chicky tendies in your blue cup. I want the blue cup. Kids in their cups. I'm the same way. I never grew out of it. You know, if you never have kids, you never have to grow up. It's amazing. You can be a kid forever. You can be an insufferable, horrible, tantruming adult. On that note, I will bid you farewell. I will bid you farewell. I think that's all. We're going to be back talking about, I think, Machine Gun Kelly, because what the fuck is going on with him? What do you guys think? Did you pick up on that when you read Blake's caption? If you're a mom, are you like, no, that's about right. Like, I don't leave my kids. Like, ever? Why not? Why not? And listen, your reason could be like financial. Like, I get that. It's like, I don't have overnight childcare. Like, okay, that's a whole different thing. I'm not talking logistically. I'm talking about emotionally. Or are you looking at Blake and you're like, this is weird? Or is this just one of those things where it's like, we probably don't know the whole story because she's a celebrity and she probably travels with her kids and whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is just a jumping off point for us to have conversations about these kinds of things. So good for you, Blake. I'm glad you're out with she's got great abs, 4 kids, unbelievable. And her beautiful hair. I love you, Blake. And I love all of you guys. I will see y'all later. I'll see you later, Shalligators. Mwah!